Hey everybody, welcome back. Happy Monday, new week, new possibilities. Sky's the limit, right? Tack for sist, välkommen tillbaka hvis du är norsk. That's Norwegian for those of you who don't know. I am originally from Norway. Today I wanted to talk about kind of how I ended up doing what I do. I am I don't know if I've even talked about this. I'm a painting contractor. I paint commercial facilities all over the country. Specifically, I specialize in self-storage facilities, and you probably all know what that is. You know, it's anywhere from a couple hundred to 1,000 roll-up garage doors. I have painted personally close to 200,000 roll-up doors in the last 40 years. Hundreds of facilities. I've worked for most of the big storage companies. I'm working on a big job right now in Northern California, which unfortunately I've been home for 4 weeks because I wrecked my back, 5 herniated discs. So I'm just taking it day by day, but all my equipment's out there. In fact, I'm trying to figure out how I get some, that's another story. But yeah, that's what I do for a living. That was not my intention. I went to college. I started college in 1981. Sorry about that. My son came out. I tried to get his attention. He obviously wanted to talk. But yeah, I started college in 1981. I did not graduate college until 1995. And you're like, how the hell did it take 14 years to graduate? Well, a lot of life got in there. I went on a Mormon mission, which I've talked about. I got married. We had a kid. I left and went back a few times. And then finally, after my divorce, in 1994, I only had, I can't remember if it was one or two semesters left to graduate. So I went back to BYU and graduated. And one of the things I've tried really hard to tell my kids and teach my kids is you need to look into what you're planning on doing for the rest of your life. Don't just assume it's all sunshine and roses. Make sure you can make a living doing it. So what I was going to do initially, well, first I was in computer science, hated that. So I switched to pre-med. My degree is zoology, a lot of biology, a lot of chemistry. And it took me so long to finish that by the time I started thinking about medical school or dental school, I just was so burned out. I could not see going back to school for another 4 years plus residency plus in all the stuff. I couldn't do it. So I decided I'm going to be a high school teacher. Maybe I can coach some basketball and teach biology in high school. You get your summers off. I'm not going to be rich by any means, but you know, nice living. Well, back then, at least in Utah, the pay was around $17,000 a year to start. Now, I had been working my way through college painting houses in the summer up in Canada and in the States, and I was making almost that much in a summer painting houses. And I thought, I do not need to be rich, but I don't want to be poor. And I ended up running into a bunch of teachers, and almost every one of them had either an evening or weekend job, or they worked all summer on another side gig because they couldn't pay their mortgage, they couldn't make a living. And so rather than going back to school for, you know, a master's or a PhD, which I considered getting a PhD in biology, I had a professor I really dug at BYU. His name was Paul Cox, world-renowned botanist. And I thought, you know, that'd be pretty cool if I could study animals and plant life and maybe travel a little. That'd be really cool. But again, the thought of, because a master's by itself probably wouldn't have been enough. I'd have probably had to go for the full PhD. And I just couldn't wrap my head around it, couldn't do it. So I was like, well, I've got all this experience painting houses. Why don't I start a painting business? And this was, I started doing this kind of on my own before I went back to college and finished. So this would have been like 91, 92, somewhere in there, around when my oldest daughter was born. And we were living in Denver. And I just started painting some houses, and out of the blue, this company out of California contacted me. I have no idea how they got my information. There was no internet back then. But they contacted me and asked me if I wanted to do a bid on a facility of theirs in Denver. It was some inside hallways. If you're familiar with storage facilities, a lot of them have indoor hallways as well. And they could have anywhere from 100 to 1,000 units inside. It's a little trickier painting because spraying, you have to tape off the top, because most of them, it just goes over the top, or you got to hand paint them. I can't remember how we did it, but we painted this hallway. So they called me after I gave them the bid and had me meet one of their reps at the facility in Denver. The company was based out of Southern California. Excuse me. And I met this guy, and we sat down. At the time, I guess I would have been like 27, 28 years old. And he started laughing. He was my age. He says, "You can't paint this for this much." And I was like, "You think my price is high?" He said, "No, this is ridiculously low. You can't do it for this." And I said, "Well, give me the chance." So they gave me the job. I got a buddy of mine to help me. We painted it, and I made the best money I had ever made in my life. I mean, it wasn't fantastic money, but for me at the time, it was fantastic money. So they started having me go to California a ton. And even when I went back to college, on weekends, I would leave Friday after class, drive, however long, get to Southern California at midnight on Friday. I would work Saturday and Sunday, drive back Sunday night, be at college again Monday. It was a rough schedule. And after my divorce and after finishing my college, I went full time into this, and I did almost all my work was for them. And it was all in California for a while. Then they started having me go to Colorado and to Illinois and to New Jersey, and it was all storage facilities. I probably painted close to 100 facilities for them, and some of that is I painted some of their properties multiple times because I worked for them for so many years. I almost took a full-time position with them in California, but they didn't want to pay me what I wanted, which would actually save them money, but because of office politics being the way they are, it would have made people in the office feel bad that the painter is making way more money than the office manager, for instance. It never made sense to me because I said, I am going to save you about $25,000 a year by doing this, but it got in the way. So I kept doing work for them, but I started expanding out. I started doing properties for, like I said, a lot of the big companies out there. Hold on just a second. And it just kind of spread from there. So my company name is well known in the self-storage industry. I haven't advertised for decades. It's all word of mouth. Like I said, I've painted about 200,000 roll-up doors, and then all the buildings and everything else that goes with that. It's all spray work. Every once in a while I have to do some brush and roller work, which I don't really enjoy because my hands are shot carpal tunnel from, squeezing a sprayer thousands of times a day for decades. So I am in the process now of kind of trying to get my company more localized in Utah. I've got my wife working with me, and we are starting to get some work here. And it looks like it's getting close to where we'll be able to just work here and I can get off the road. It's a little hard to leave the road work because I hate being on the road, but it's good money. And I can make close to the same being at home, but not the same, but that's okay. I would rather make less money and be home. And I'm also hoping to retire from painting here in the next, I turned 62 this past December. By 65, I want to be done with painting. Now, I won't mind running a painting company. I just don't want to paint anymore. So that's kind of my story. That's what I do. I just thought it might be kind of cool to share that with those of you that don't know much about me. I say it all the time on this channel. What you see is what you get. I don't have scripts. It's just me. I am this way. I'm a goofy, fun-loving guy. I'm almost always positive and upbeat. Now, I can have my down moments. I can get pissed off just like anybody else. I used to have a real temper problem. Like, I don't mean with like friends and family and stuff. I mean, just, somebody cuts you off. I'd get so pissed off and make myself so miserable. And I've worked really hard on that for many years now to just let stuff like that slide. I almost said, I try not to swear on this channel. In my everyday life, I'm not a big swearer, but I do swear. And just in everyday conversation, I try to avoid it here. But if one slides in, I don't mean any offense by it. So let me know what you do. Maybe there's some painters out there. Want to buy a painting business? So, excuse me. That's it for today. Excuse me, that Coke is coming back up. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Tack för denna gången. Vi snackas igen snart. Thanks for this time. We'll talk again soon. I so appreciate you watching, especially if you got to this point. I dig it. Thanks for the comments, the thumbs up, the subscriptions. I also have a TikTok account, the same name. It's kind of a goofier, just kind of fun-loving, singing. Well, you can check it out if you want. But yeah, we will talk to you again next time. Have a great day. Peace. Love.